So we'll do the. I've got like Loom on in the background anyway because I was doing some stuff. But I mean, even just like disregarding that, just tell me sort of like the situation with the discovery calls at the moment. You got two people wanting to work with you, right?
Yeah, so one has booked. I don't know who it is, and I've not reached out yet.
Okay.
He booked a few days ago. Um, Curious how that goes, bro, because I saw he's based in India, so I'm not sure how the fuck that's gonna go, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then the other one, he's this American guy. He's I'd say a hot lead, but then on the day he was meant to, or it made sense for him to book, let's say, he was ready to book, he never did. But it was like a hot lead, and I've been talking to this guy for weeks. So I don't know if something happened. I reached out today. I left it for a day, and then I reached out saying, "Oh, are you so and so?" I was just trying to create a bit of
Yeah. Yeah.
urgency. Have you booked this time on 5 o'clock? Uh, Sorry, have you booked this time on Saturday at 5 o'clock? Like I didn't know your name was, and I just said some shit
Yeah.
just to kind of see where he's at. But I think I will still be able to convert him. I have a feeling he will be. He said he's happy to do the Unlock Your Inner Gold program, but
Yeah.
then he is a student. I get the impression he makes money, but I feel like he'll end up going into the self-actualization manifesto. But I'm obviously going to try and upsell him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got one booked call, and then that's it. Really, I think it will increase when we get that funnel out and shit like that,
Mm.
and all that shit's ready. But I'm still a
Yeah.
positive, bro. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. To be honest, there's two good points that we can make off of that. We need to look at this actually for what it is. Like when it comes to like discovery calls, clarity calls, there's so many different words to like describe what it is, but we need to literally understand what we're in right now is sales. It is called sales, and we need to understand how to actually sell. And when you try to
Yeah,
run away from what it is, you try to go into all these like fancy frameworks and you end up getting lost in the weeds. So if we can actually understand we're on this call to sell, we're here to solve problems, it's going to make it easier to navigate through that call. Another one would be literally keep it simple, stupid. So there's so many books, there's so many frameworks, there's so many different teaching methods now more than ever. Where it's so people, I've seen people like stutter their words just on wondering, do you say hello, hi, or how's your day going? So the point that I'm trying to make is you almost want to treat it as if you're driving a car. If you can't drive that car, how can you get it to the destination that you want to go to? So the idea of your sales call, when you are in that mindset of understanding to sell, because you're a businessman now, if you can understand that you're on that call to sell and you can get that to work in a way that works for you as an individual, you'll find it easier to navigate. The biggest mistake that people make is they're on these calls and they're trying to say the right sentence, they're trying to say the right pitch, and they end up losing sense of themselves as an individual because they're trying to mold themselves around this super complex closing script, high pressure, wishy washy sales stuff that like
yeah,
promises closes. So make it work for you and understand. And this is part of that paradigm shift that we made with literally a Caro to begin with. You're not just some guy running a YouTube channel anymore. You're a businessman that runs, a spirituality based coaching program that transforms people's lives.
I got you, bro. That actually makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, I think for someone like me, I'd benefit more from an approach like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I used to
um,
have like frameworks and stuff, but you're basically just being inauthentic,
yeah,
and that's gonna show.
definitely.
It's just a normal conversation,
That's all it is. If you,
but you're here to sell.
That's all it is. And if you can, the most easiest way to understand is that you want to do it as if it's just two friends having a beer. If you can do that sales call where you're actually speaking to someone and understanding them, the likelihood of them wanting to move forward is going to be 10 times higher because people buy from those they know, like, and trust. The other thing as well is you really want to make sure that you can get into that call and map out where you want to go. So you actually have to understand what it is that you're selling yourselves. Most people, especially when it comes to running a business, they're trying to throw targets, dartboards at a target that they can't even see. So you need to understand of these inquiries that have came in, what are they actually inquiring for, and of the information that they've given you, what do you think that they're best suited for? This is why, and I probably should have opened with this point, we're about to go into these calls where you basically are going to start literally getting high ticket clients, stuff that is genuine needle movers for growing a business. We need to look at this now and understand that the sale has already begun. You're not going onto this discovery thinking that as soon as it's like the money's in the stripe, that's the sale. The sale started as soon as they even thought about making an inquiry. So it's almost like we need to shift that mindset and think a sale is not the discovery call. You're already in that closing process. they're already in that mindset to tender and go out to market. So the sooner that we can understand that, we're going to be able to get them on a call and understand what it is that they want.
Got you.
Going back to obviously when you said about them reaching out, so we'd both be lying to ourselves. I'd be lying to you. You know, let's just say we do a video and it pops off, you get 1,000 calls. There's always going to be different rates of show up rates, of booked rates, of cancellation rates. There's always going to be a percentage of those 1,000 booked calls. You're never going to have 1,000 booked calls, 1,000 leads, 1,000 closes, 1,000 sales. So, you know, we're beginning to get traction. It's building up fast. Of those calls that are coming in, there's probably going to be tire kickers. There's going to be people that have reached and gone up that prospect ladder stage and they're still not ready to there. They're just sort of like, you know, they're at curiosity stage. They're just sort of seeing what the options are. However, the other student that you mentioned, this definitely seems like a hot lead. I wanted to resurface back to the inquiry stage though, is because of what we call buyer's remorse. So a lot of people, even though it's just a discovery call, they're giving the most valuable asset, which is their time and energy and emotion, and especially for what you do, because it requires such a strong, to admit that you've got a problem internally and to admit that you're actually wanting to take change, it takes a lot of balls. So there is still a buyer's remorse where as soon as they book the call, the thing that they're thinking is, shit, should I have done that? So like that whole, you know, feeling of resistance, that's why sometimes we can reach out to them a day or two later and they'll just leave it on red, because they've almost like ripped the band-aid off, brought it to the light, they've confronted it, and now they're sort of like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Because even though where they're at now is uncomfortable, at least they know what it is. They've got that sense of consistency. They know what the people are, they know what it is when they wake up. To get onto this call with you is a huge leap into the unknown. So for every booked call and every person that comes in, straight away, not in a salesy way, we can actually work on your automations with this funnel so that as soon as a call is booked, instantly we're saying thank you. Instantly we're giving them links to your WhatsApp and saying if you need anything at all, questions, we've got SMS reminders. We just need to be constantly there to continue to guide them along that process, because even though the sale's already begun, until the money's in the bank, they're still a lead at this point that we've got to convert.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's sort of like, you know, these inquiries are definitely coming out of nowhere? Where do you sort of think these inquiries have came from?
One was from Instagram, because the guy I was speaking to for like a few weeks, and I was like just genuinely having a conversation with him, talking about a lot of different things. He appreciated the fact that I'd given him like my time basically, and I was framing it as like, you know, obviously I've got clients, this and that, but I'm still helping him, free value here and there. And he's like really appreciative. And then the other guy, I don't have a clue. I'm guessing a YouTube video.
Yeah.
First one, I'm guessing that's the last one actually, because that was the first one where I had a Academy link.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have sort of like a pipeline? Are you getting a lot of engagement from outreach, or is it literally from YouTube? Because we've got the CTNU YouTube videos now. That's obviously working well. Is it mainly coming from Instagram?
I haven't actually done really any outreach. I would say it's just been one from Instagram and one from YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
I'll find out on the call, but...
Yeah. It's still good that we're gaining that level of traction now, because the videos are actually consistently doing well. Again, we're digressing because we're literally going into lead generation now and we're on this focusing about discoveries. I think as well, obviously, when it comes to a discovery call, we've greeted the call, we already understand that we're selling and we know what we're here to do. A lot of people then just go straight into, they think that a discovery call is like, you know, a features call and a price call. Like you go on, okay, so you fill out the form, here's the features, here's the price, do you want it or not? And there's actually, even though they've booked a call, there's still a massive amount of work to do, because they can drop out at any given point. I would always open a call with two things. So first you want to frame the call. So everything wants to almost be like telling a story. So frame the call. So like, what's the agenda? What's the focus areas? You know, we're on this call today to understand about your current situation, understand where your goals are spiritually, financially, emotionally. And by the end of this call, you're going to have achieved X outcome. So if you can sort of get on that call and tell them what they can actually expect, then in their mind, they're going to be thinking, right, sure, I'm uncomfortable right now, but at least I know I can come away from this call and know that I'm going to have a solution.
Got you.
Yeah. And then obviously going back to, you know, remember the frameworks about like how your audience are moving. You know, by now you've already got These people that you're booking a call with, you already know them. You're not actually going onto a call with a stranger. You're going onto a call with your avatar. Like we literally sat on that strategy session.
I know. The one on Saturday, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's the only booked call right now. But I think this other guy will book soon.
Yeah, but you know their characteristics. Like, obviously, you're not going to know them as a person, but you know that they're struggling with something internally. You know that you need to help them bring it to the light, and you know that your solutions, whether it be mid or high ticket, you've got something that can help them get there. So you already have an understanding of what they're like as a character, like not necessarily as a human, but as a bundle of energy. So it's not like you go
Yeah.
into this call completely cold.
No, yeah. I think in the thing as well, when it was like, "What are you looking for?" She said, "Inner transformation," some shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. It makes sense for them to be vague because they're sort of like, especially in a business that you're in, like you're more of like a, I mean, you even get it in your YouTube comments where they sort of see you as like a teacher. So a lot of these people that are going on to calls, they're expecting to be babied, they're expecting to be like told the answers because they're still in that mindset. Like, it's wild that we're talking about this, but they're still in that mindset shift where they're looking for somebody external or something external, which is you, to tell them how to fix something which is internal, and it's your job
Yeah,
to teach them that the change that they want is within.
yeah,
So it's almost like we need to basically predict how they're going to behave, and this is why we furthermore need to understand who your audience is and your avatar, because when we can understand them, we can begin to almost predict their patterns and behaviors. And this isn't
yeah,
like, Machiavellian psychology where we're trying to like gaslight them, but we still want to have that understanding of like what they want and where they're going to go next. Because then when we get to your actual offer, your offer is literally just a solution to help them get to that, that position of pleasure and desired outcome.
yeah,
Um, so then obviously you've greeted the call, you've set the agenda. Next thing is you want to go into the pain points because you want to remind them of why they've taken action in the first place. No, like everybody always wants to make more money, right? But they will never take a complete leap into the unknown, rip open band-aids of like childhood trauma, spiritual blockages just to actually get something that they want more of. More often than not, it's to uncover a pain point, something that is causing them deep-rooted pain that has affected them for years, like the breakthroughs that I've had recently. So
yeah,
you sort of want to be going into these calls and not like prodding, so like saying like, fucking your life's shit, talk to me about it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like you want to go in and be sort of like, look, you came on this call because there is something going on in your life right now. Let's just start with that. Again, going back to like the psychology of sales, everybody thinks that it's like you almost like being above them type thing. Like you've got to work on all these frameworks, these little questions and stuff, and you're just trying to like trap them into becoming a sale. The best sales calls are when it's just you two navigating the call together and you're just asking questions and guiding them to close themselves because people don't like being sold to. So
Gotcha.
it makes a lot more sense to sort of like go into the pain points, but just say, tell me a little bit more about this. Help me understand why you're on this call. What is it that you're looking to actually get from this call? And then the more that they're going to be reserved at first. So you've got to step into that role of being a business owner. But the more questions that you ask, where it's open ended and they can't respond yes or no, they're going to be forced to let down the guard and actually give you more intel.
That's
Um,
good. Yeah,
and one of the most fundamental thing I always love saying this because it comes into like communication is you have 2 ears and one mouth, use them accordingly. The it makes it easier for you because you're going to be nervous going onto these calls. Like I was so nervous, even now when it's like a proper high ticket. I know this client's going to be wanting a lot. I still get nervous going onto calls, but you can almost use that as you can weaponize that and use it to your advantage because if you're asking the right questions, the client and the prospect is going to be doing all the selling themselves. All you've got to do is listen for the little these little buzzwords and think, hang on a minute, my audience says that my ideal client is using those words. I already know the framework and the next steps. Um,
got you.
then obviously you sort of covered into the pain points, and I think a lot of that then is we can sort of start looking into basic spin psychology, right? So you've made them aware of their pain points. It's on you now to be like, look, this is your pain point. What's going to happen if you don't take action? Because a lot of your audience at this point, if we're truly not diving deep enough, they can take it or leave it. Like because we're going against psychological programming, almost societal programming. For example, money. You're probably going to speak to a lot of people that want to make more money, but Society tells us to save money, buy a house, exist, and being abundant financially is not a normal thing. So they're coming onto this call almost like on a whim. They're sort of like wondering if it's even possible. So if you can like
Mm.
materialize it and teach them that it is real in the physical, they're obviously going to want to be a lot more in tune to want to move forwards. But if they've got nothing that can sort of like tell them like if you don't take action, this is what's going to happen. Where's the actual like reason for them to want to move forwards?
And I need to kind of guide them to that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
better if they reach that conclusion by themselves.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. So literally, like at this point now, if you think of like how this session is going right now, I'm doing most of the talking. All you're literally doing is just being inquisitive, calm, collective, and your responses are then making me think, right, I've got to do all the talking here. Exact same concepts when it comes to your calls. Just let them talk, almost as if again they've had a bad day and you're just asking them to tell you a bit more about the day.
Got you.
Yeah. And we can almost like, let's just say if everything that we talk about doesn't mean anything, let's just look at other industries and see what works because success leaves clues. If you go to a doctor and if you go to, say the hospital and you just walk in, even though your arm is visibly broken, and that doctor doesn't do anything, he just says, here's some paracetamol and send you home, that is literally like illegal and malpractice. Like doctors get sued, they lose their licenses and everything. So you have to diagnose before you can prescribe. So if you're going onto these calls thinking, right, you filled out this form, so I'm going to give you this product, it's unjust, immoral, and you're just going to create churn in the business. So you need to be able to diagnose by asking the right questions and get the person to actually say, like, look, doc, I broke my arm, help me. And then and only then can you say, right, okay, based off of what you've told me, based off of my experience and what I can offer you, here's what I can do. You've got this option, and this option. What do you think works best for you to move forwards with today?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And like that one framework will just allow, and all we're doing now is we're almost adding structures into like your role. So you're a businessman that runs, a spiritual coaching based business. You're in the situation of selling. That's what this call is for. And almost like a doctor does, you need to be able to diagnose before you even think about prescribing. So
What was the what was the last thing you said? So like based on because I like that ending, based on what you told me, again, I'm getting them to take actions. Based on what you told me, I have maybe this like I'll be able to
yeah, yeah.
diagnose by that point. Like it'll either be the self-actualization manifesto, or if they've told
Mm-hmm.
me repeatedly that they need me to hold their hand or whatever, then I'll
Yeah.
upsell. And I have this service that can help you. And then what was the last thing you said? That was really good.
Um,
Like
what do
what's
you
going to
think?
be your next step, or what's your next move, or some shit.
Yeah, so we're into like we're now sort of into the final stage of the discovery call or of a sales call, which is the close, right? So the close, like close is super popular. You've got closing agencies, you've got high ticket closers. The closing aspect of a call is crucial because it determines is the money going into your account or is it not going into your account? Are they a client or are they not a client? The framework that I've just told you is very famous. It's called the optional close. So what we're basically doing is entire sales call is gone. We're now at that stage. You basically give them one of three options. Now, when you give, there's like loads of like studies of this with children, right? If you only give them one thing to do or leave the choice to them, they're either not going to choose at all or they're just going to choose for the one thing that isn't relevant at all. Whereas if you give them one of three choices, they're like, right, okay, these are the three options. It makes them easier to make a decision, which is what you're literally on
Yeah,
that call to do. And this is why having like your mid and your high ticket and this whole product ecosystem is important because you'd be like, look, based off of what you've told me and my experience and what I can offer you, we've got this program, and this program. What do you think would be best for you moving forwards? Because even at the close, the closing stage of a call is what reeks of sales, and there is really no way to get around it. You have to talk about money. Ideally, you should be closing them on a call or at least sending the Stripe link to them. So this is where it has to be contextualized as sales. That's what it is.
yeah.
However, if you can frame it in a way that is human and friendly, so that's why you say based off of what you've told me. So you're not saying to them, look, this is what you need to buy, this is this. All you're saying is, look, you've told me this information, I have knowledge and experience. All I'm saying is, look, these are your options available.
Bro, I did this with the guy on Instagram. I didn't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
realize this was a thing. I literally framed it like that, and now I think it makes sense because he was like proper. He was like, "Oh, you're not like anyone else, like
exactly.
who's just trying to upsell me, like you want to help type shit." Because I gave him both
Yeah, yeah,
options, and I outlined like, "Look, if you're in the Unlock Your Inner Gold program, you get access to my time. But I didn't also downplay the self-actualization manifesto. I told him the truth, which is that you can still get life-changing results from that. It's just going to be there's more of that you're going to have to walk through yourself type thing. In essence, in a shortened conversation. But yeah, I didn't even realize, but that makes so much sense, man.
Yeah.
I like this, bro, because this also fits with my like. I can just be calm doing this and just have a conversation, man. This isn't really like I don't feel like I'm going. Like this is the car run. I don't feel like I'm pretending.
Exactly that. Yeah. You got to remember, I mean, obviously it helps that we've known each other all these years, but like there is nothing that we've discussed today that you're not capable of doing. Like all you literally have to do is go onto this call, and it sounds so cheesy, but you literally just got to be yourself. The only other piece of advice I give, and this is very uncomfortable, I don't do it nowhere near enough as much as I should, but selling on the call. So even if you're not able to take the money over the phone, you should always at least send them the Stripe link and get verbal confirmation whilst you're on the call that they've received the Stripe link. Because you can do all this call, right? And when you give somebody information, like when you read a book, you've got to be able to process that information. And don't worry, I've got this on the call, by the way.
Cool.
When you give somebody like it takes almost like when it comes to diet, right? So you know that I made a load of progress because I've got a low stimulated diet. My body doesn't need energy to process the foods that I'm eating because it's literally just chicken, veg, and I just feel good. So that energy is then used for better thinking. The same goes for your calls, right? You've done these really deep, interconnected calls, all these pain points. There's a lot of information for them to process. If you just say thank you for your time, even after going through that optional clause, you say I'll send you the link afterwards, that call is going to be cut off and they're going to be like, fuck, I've got all this information to unload, and more often than not, just going to be like, fuck it, I'll deal with it Monday. And then because of that, you've just lost the sale because the energy taken to process what you've just told them versus the energy taken to just go about their day as they normally would are two monumentally different things. They're just going to choose the path of least resistance, aren't they? So if you can get that Stripe link prepared on the call, and again, go back to your option clause, you've got this option, this option, this option. You've got your 3 pay links already set, and I would say, right, okay, cool. What I've done is I've just sent you a Stripe link. Makes it super easy for you to pay. You can Apple Pay it. Tell them a little story. So if you want to, guys, we're excellent with this. Ask them, respond with another question. When somebody asks you something, you fucked up, you say, what's that mean? You ask them another question. So you send them the Stripe link and just say, look, I've set up this Stripe link. Really easy to pay. It's got Apple Pay. I use Apple Pay for everything. I even buy my sausage rolls with Apple Pay. They're going to probably laugh. It's going to sort of like bring down that attitude around it, and they're going to be a lot more likely to be like, you know what, this is fair enough.
So what, like almost make them, how would you say that, making them comfortable to pay, like
just make it casual, just make it normal, like that's all it is. Like if you make it a big thing, like, look, I've just sent you this this link from my account, it's my payment vendor, this is how we're going to process the payment, you're just sounding really alien and you're increasing the barrier to entry. Whereas if you just be like, okay, cool, I'm really excited to work with you. What I've just pinged you across is just a quick link. If you pay for that, you can use Apple Pay. I use Apple Pay for all my stuff, and just be very, very casual with it.
Okay, got you. No, that makes sense.
And let's just say if they need to think about it, and I mean, we're going into a whole different conversation of like objection handling now, but let's just say if there's like a little bit of a stalling tactic, you should at least come away from that call and you need verbal confirmation. So say, right, I've just sent you the Stripe link. Can you confirm you've just got it on your phone? I sent you it on WhatsApp. Exactly like we did with the thumbnail before this.
Yeah.
Because then what you haven't got is, let's just say if you do like a recontact campaign where you're reaching out to all these people who have almost bought but never became a client, you're then eradicating the excuse for them saying, oh, well, I never received a link, because you've got verbal confirmation that they received it on the call.
Yeah, got you.
So, and again, this is where we go back into the sales. Like, you can't leave the power in their hands, because they'll either ignore you, try to cheap you out, or just never do anything ever again. And these calls take a lot of energy to do.
No, 100%. It's either at the minimum verbal confirmation that they've got the link, or obviously get the sale there and then.
Exactly, yeah. But because it's Apple Pay, I mean, it's literally a Face ID and they're in.
Yeah. So is that Apple Pay is set up, right?
Yeah, by default.
Technically speaking, the manifesto is not live, you were saying, right? I can still take the money and
Yeah, you can
I'll
still
just
you can
I'll just
still take.
message them saying like, oh, to make up for it, I'll fucking give you access to my time or some shit.
It doesn't even have to be that. Just say, look, we're currently and this is something that I've done with the academy. You should never have like this program. You should never have it running just for 2 years straight. Every at least 6 to 12 months, you should completely strip it down, delete everything, and refilm everything. So let's just say if you do manage to sell a program on this, which I know you will, it's going to be high or mid ticket. You to say, look, you've came in at a really good time because I've actually been restructuring the entire business. So what I'd love to know from you is what modules would you actually like to see in the course? What would you actually like to see when you log in that's going to be like, this is really good? Now, he doesn't need to know that you haven't even built the product yet or the platform because you're actually giving him autonomy over, like, right, I made this investment. How do I want it to go? That's like investing into crypto and the people of the crypto platform of the actual coin themselves saying, look, how would you like to utilize this coin in best form?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So I like
imagine
that, bro. That's
imagine
actually a
how
really
much
good tactic.
power you'd feel from that. Like you're almost feeling like you're part of something. So
Yeah, I like that, bro.
yeah, yeah.
I made a
Um,
note on that as well.
cool. And then I think after that, it's just the communication aspect. So like even after the paid, we want to then obviously start going into like onboarding sequences because I think by law, regardless of industry, there's always going to be some sort of cooling off period so they can get chargebacks. But this is 0.001%. That will never happen. But the point I want to make is as soon as that Stripe link is set up, we won't redirect pages to say, right, payment received, here's what you can expect. We can do all of like your confirmation pages. So again, that buyer's remorse would be like, shit, I've uncovered these points, just paid X amount of money, now what do I do? You don't ever want to leave them in the dark. We want onboarding forms, we want onboarding campaigns, just everything to let them know that they're being looked after.